Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Crypto Bytes, where we discuss all things DeFi, crypto, airdrops, and more. My name is Brian, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to basically go over some projects I've talked to you about in previous videos, in particular on Solana. And I'm going to go through kind of some updated strategies that I've been doing over the last few weeks, so that you can hopefully copy some of these yourself if you find value in them, for both immediate large APY yields, as well as farming a variety of different airdrops. These are not the limit of all the projects I'm currently farming on Solana for airdrops and yield, but these are definitely my top ones and the ones I'm focused on the most. So I wanted to just take a few minutes to go through how I'm using each of them right now, in case it helps any of you watching. So with that said, let's jump right in. All right, so if you are using Solana in any way, shape, or form, I'm sure you have heard about Meteora before. They're one of the most popular dexes on Meteora, and probably the most anticipated airdrop that hopefully will be coming sometime in 2025. The airdrop program has been running for over a year now at this point, so it's definitely been farmed by a lot of people. So if you haven't been using it at all, you're gonna have to put in some serious volume to catch up. That being said, using this product alone, I'm making money every single day, more or less. And so it's not just something that you can use for airdrop farming alone, but also just for generating yield in your daily DeFi usage. So let me go through kind of what the strategy that I'm using at the moment. I've had to, given different market conditions, I've been shifting my strategies around every few months to see what works best. And what I'm doing right now seems to be working okay. So even though we're having some pretty bad market conditions out there at the moment. So so this is Meteora. Now I don't, while they've been doing a great job updating the website, I don't actually use Meteora itself to use Meteora. I use another website called Hawkfi. And so Hawkfi is basically just, at this point, they offer, Meteor is kind of caught up a little bit with the different features that Hawkfi offers, but Hawkfi still has some great things that Meteor doesn't offer at the moment. Then that's one of the main reasons why I use them. In addition for that, Hawkfi is running their own airdrop campaign as well. Their points program is, you can see up here in the corner, it's not live yet, but they are counting your usage. So, this is, if you're going to be wanting to farm one, you might as well do it on Hawkfi, because you're getting a 2-in-1 airdrop just by doing that. And so basically what you can see here, it lists, in this case, everything on Meteora. You can also do farming on Orca and Radium. Not Radium yet, but Orca you can do on Hawkfi as well. But since Meteor is the one running the airdrop, and they, since they're running the airdrop, that's the reason why I'm only using that at the moment. And so what I'm basically doing here on Hawkfi is I am sorting by this 24-hour fee to TVL rate. And so this is basically going to sort the list of all the LP pools on Meteora by the APY. Now you can see here, like, the first one is 315 trillion % APY. Now, obviously that's insane, and currently you can see that there's 0 TVL in this pool. So, there's nothing to farm here. I wouldn't put money in it, because it was probably just some random thing that came and left. And so you can see that there's 10,000 volume in the past 24 hours. It generated a lot of fees. That's why the APY was so high, but now there's no more TVL. And I assume if you dove deeper into this, you'd see that there's also no volume. So I don't bother with these. What I do is basically I go through this list, and anything that has a TVL of 300 or more, and also has an APY. This is daily APY, by the way, daily fee earning. So it's not even APY, it's the amount that you earn in one day. So let's find one and I'll show you what I do from there. So yeah, just to clarify, so I'm going through this list until I get all the way down to 10% fee percentage here, and along the way I'm just opening up in a new tab any pool that has $300 or more in TVL in it. And so that in that manner, basically anything that I end up choosing as a pool to deposit into, I'm going to be getting at least 10% for the next 24 hours or for however long that I'm keeping my funds in that pool for. I'm going to fast forward in the video here so you're not having to see me do this on the screen. So I found a few options here. I'm not done going through the list, but I just wanted to give you a couple of examples so you can see my thought process at the moment. So I found 3 different pools. Let's go through each one. Basically what I'll do, so you can see here it has a TVL greater than 300 and the 24-hour fee to TVL is still massive, 474%, so it's above 10%. So what I'll do from here is I'll click on this bird eye link so I can take a look at the chart and also the details on what this token is, because more times than not these are things that were just listed in the past day or 2 or 3. So for me, I know that there's a lot more stringent ways that you can look into whether or not a token is legit or not, but really all I'm looking for here, since I'm spending for the most part less than a day in these things, is I'm looking to see if one, does it have a Twitter X profile, and then when I go to the X profile, a couple of things. One, I'm looking to see is it legit for this token. A lot of times you'll see that it has a Twitter profile, but it's for an influencer or someone that has no affiliation with this token. They don't list the token anywhere, and so obviously the people that created the token are just piggybacking off this other person's celebrity. In this case, you can see that they have the contract address, so it obviously belongs to this token. And I go through and I'm just looking to see are they actually posting anything? I don't really care too much what they're posting, except for the fact that if all that they're posting is just prices going up, prices going up, prices going up, if there's something like that, I avoid those, because a lot of times I've just over experiencing that those are pump and dumps or rugs. In this case, you can see that they're actually posting some content. So what that leads me to believe is, maybe they're actually trying to build a community here. They're actually trying to build something. It's not just a quick rug. So in this case, it passes kind of my initial check here. And so now I've basically decided, okay, I'm going to go in and LP for this token. Before I show you what's next, let me show you some ones that I would not choose. So here's another one. Obviously it's over 300, over 10%. We go check out the bird eye. Here's another one while that's loading. So a lot larger, still a good fee percentage. So going back here, so you can see this Pablo the Rock. They have some Reddit stream is what this came from. There's no X profile. I'm avoiding this one because it's pretty much, someone just found this meme. They made it the token. They're not even trying to build a community. This is not going to be lasting, so I'm not interested. Similarly with this one, Dark, they don't even have a website. I have no idea what this is even about. Obviously it's going up. That's nice. There's a lot of volume coming in here, but I don't know if this is all just fake or what, so I'm not putting money into this. Now if this token ends up running for a couple weeks and it's then established that it's solid, then I'll consider it. But since this is so brand new, I don't want to take the risk. So we're not going to do Dark and we're not going to do Pablo. So let's go back to gold here. All right, so the other thing then I'll look at is the chart, and I'll look at it on the 4 hour, assuming that there's more than a few hours. So this one's been running for almost a month now, so that's decent. And pretty much all I'm looking for is, especially if it's a new token, is that has it ever like gone up and down, and then up, down, and slightly up again at all, or has it just been, up and then down, and then like I'm finding it like right here at this mark, and I don't know if there's ever going to be interest in this again. So if I just came along this here and it had never gone up and it was just purely down, I would probably not farm this. If I came along over here, though, I'd see, oh, at one point in time there was at least a little bit of life that came into this, so I'll take the risk. So in this case, I'm gonna take the risk here, and so what I'll do is I'm just trying to find my area that I want to set my range for. So in this case, I'm pretty much just gonna set the range probably from this point here, so call it 5 zeros and then 25, because this was the last kind of resistance. It broke through this. If it's gonna come down, it'll probably have at least some kind of buying interest here, and then I'll probably go up to like around here, so depending on the pool. So this is my range here. So then we'll go back and let me do this. All right, so we'll go to create the position, and I'm only doing single-sided positions at this point. And so the way that I'm doing that is I'm choosing this bid-ask strategy. So basically that means that as the price goes down, I'm buying more as the price goes down further. If the price goes up, then I'm selling as the price gets, more as the price gets higher. So it kind of goes in this shape, as the price goes within my range. So in this case, I think I said I was going to go from the 25 mark up to, call it 7. So what is that? $25. Well, in this case, the range is tighter, so I'm not able to go up to the 7 that I wanted to. So I'm just going to go to as high as I can. Will I still have the bin steps at a max of 69, so that way I'm not having to pay extra to open up this this pool. So then what I'll do is I'll set a stop loss of just 1 tick beyond my minimum price here. I'll keep it as swap to Sol. So yeah, this is the nice thing about Hawkfi, if you haven't used it before, is that you can go and set your price ranges, and then you can set a stop loss or take profit, which is not something that Meteora itself offers at the moment. So that's and then they also have auto compounding, and also if you were going to set like your stop loss a lot lower than the range, once it goes out of range, it'll auto rebalance for you as well if you choose that too. But in this case, since we're keeping the range as it is, and then I'm getting out as soon as it goes 1 tick beyond it, I leave it alone. I'm not setting a take profit. It'll either go up and then or not. My main thing is I just want to have it be in this range, so I'm generating fees. And then from there, I'm just setting, it totally is up to your budget, but I'm just starting with basically 0.1 Sol to start, and I'll let it run for 4 or 5 hours, see if I'm in the profit with the fees or not. If I am, then I'll add 0.2 more Sol into it, let it run for another 5-6 hours, and then do 0.3, then 0.4, and so on and so forth. And every time that I'm doing that, I'll be coming in to check my stop loss and make sure that whatever the percentage is. So in this case, basically what this is saying is that I'm going to get stopped out when the price goes down 27% from where it is currently. So what I would do after, if I decide to add more to this pool, is I'll go and make sure that whatever the 24-hour fee is, I'll make sure that the stop loss percentage down is the same or less, slightly less than what this is, because at that point I've made a profit. That was the reason why I decided to add more into the pool, and so I'm kind of like wanting to protect my win at that point, and so I don't want to lose more than what I'm getting in fees to stay in this pool at that time. Obviously, then if I just lose right off the bat and this goes all the way down minus 50%, I get stopped out. I'm only doing it with 0.1 Sol, so I'm losing a few bucks, and I'm totally cool with that because I basically was able to experiment with a pretty risky pool here, but had a high fee percentage, and for the most part, I'd say I'm hitting like 50-60% wins on this initial thing, and I'm adding to my position each time. So once I'm adding to the position, I'm really not losing anything. Sometimes I'll make a couple bucks, sometimes I'll make I'll double my money. It just really depends on how well the fees are going and how well the assets going. But even in a really crappy market like it is right now, this has been a profitable strategy for me. So that is pretty much what I've been doing, farming Hawkfi and Meteora. Obviously if you have a much bigger, budget to go for. By the way, so with my strategy, I'm maybe finding like 10 to 15 pools a day. It takes me about an hour's worth of time to run this. So, I'm doing 1 or 2 Sol as like my initial investment per day with the pools that I'm finding. And then obviously I'm increasing if they're succeeding. If you have a bigger bankroll, then you can make that be 10 or 20 Sol per day. It just really depends what you want to do, but this is the strategy I've been working on, and as market conditions get better, I will be increasing what I'm doing here. But for now, I'm just looking to farm these for the airdrop, and then also making $50 a day or whatever. It's for an hour's worth of my time. It works out pretty well. So that's Hawkfi and Meteora. And next one that I've discussed with you guys before that's been working out quite well for me too is DeFi Tuna. So DeFi Tuna, again, also on Solana. And basically what this is it's similar to what we just went over to with Hawkfi and Meteora. It's a LP DEX, and so you can basically, and for them they're using Orca as where they're depositing the liquidity to. So they have been adding new pools here, but the main ones that so you can see all the different ones they have. Oops. They have about 10 or 15. I'm sure they'll be adding more. They've been adding new stuff to the app regularly. The main ones I've been focusing on is either Sol USDC, the CBBTC USDC, or the JLP USDC. And so let's take a look at the JLP USDC. So pretty much what I'm doing is I'm just using Jupiter for ease here. So what I'm doing basically is I'm looking at the past 24 hours. Here we're looking at JLP USDC, and I'm going to look for what was the range of the last 24 hours. So let's see, right now we're at 16. We'll go to 16. So here's about a 24-hour snapshot. So you can see here that over the last 24 hours, we're at a high of 3.7 JLP per USDC and a low of 3.55. So what I'm doing is I am basically buying at the lows of the day, and I haven't been doing it as much before, but it was working for me for a while. And then I was basically doing short positions at the highs of the range of the day. If you're not looking to do the shorting, I'll show you how to do both in a second. If you're not looking to do the shorting, then you can just buy as you're getting closer to the lows for the day. And basically, as far as my strategy, what I've done is I'm being pretty conservative. I'm setting my range to go from 3.5 to 3.9. The reason for this range is this 3.5 price for JLP in this instance was the price that it had dropped down to back at the lows of early March 2025. And so what I'm kind of doing is just setting myself a large enough range here that I don't really care what's happening on the day-to-day price. I'm just looking to enter into as many positions as I can within this range at kind of the daily lows, based off of what I just showed you on Jupiter there. So I set our range here, and then for me, I'm just making positions of like about $100. I'm doing 5x leverage. So this is what DeFi Tuna allows you to do, is it allows you to enter into these positions with leverage. And then you can also long or short the position. So if you want to long, then you basically bring this over to that you're going to be, in order for you to have $400 of JLP, you're borrowing, in order for you to have $500 of JLP, because you're doing a 5x leverage on your $100 collateral, you're basically going to be borrowing $400 in USDC. So therefore, you're longing JLP in this instance. Now, you can short it by borrowing JLP instead of USDC, because in that manner, if the price goes down, the amount that you have to repay on the borrow goes down, and so that's how you're shorting it in this example. So, but yeah, for the most part, I'm doing the long at this point. So you do that. I'm doing full leverage here. Also, the reason why I'm keeping this range, by the way, is this red amount is the liquidation level. So usually what I'll try and do is just go as low as I can if I'm going to buy, so that the bottom of my range is at the level of liquidation. So that way, I can close out ahead of time if needed. You can see that by doing this leverage at this point in time, we're in the middle of the week, so the rates are higher now than on the weekends, but right now this will yield me 1.56% per day, basically longing JLP. And then obviously if the price goes up, I'm making more because I'm going full leverage long on it. If the price goes down, I'm leaving my position open, and because I've given myself enough leeway here on the downside, I should hopefully not get stopped out. Now, one nice feature that they have here, if this has happened to me a few times over the last couple of weeks, given how the market has been, is that if the price gets close enough to where you think you might be at risk of liquidation, but you don't want to close your position at a loss, what you can do is they have the ability for you to compound any fees earned on the position, and that adds to your collateral. And so usually, a couple bucks will bring this percent down, 0.5%, 1% more. So it gives you a little bit more leeway. You can obviously always just close your position in a loss, or maybe you've made enough from the fees that you'll break it even or have a small win. But generally speaking, for JLP at least, if you're between the 3.45, 3.5 range, that's pretty much going to set you up for if the price of Sol goes to about $100, or BTC going back down to like the $76,000, $75,000 that it was at the March lows, you're going to be like still safe. At least that's what I've kind of calculated here based off of how I've seen the JLP price move. So yeah, this is a great way for you to kind of just stack a relatively low volatile asset, which is JLP, and get a nice 1% per day APY, not APY, sorry, 1% interest per day on that. So you're basically doubling your money every 100 days, plus any appreciation that you get on the price. And then pretty much my plan is once the price gets high enough, I'll close the position, and then I'll adjust these ranges as hopefully the market moves up and we can move higher. If the market goes down, I'll continue doing the same, because this is a relatively stable asset. It's 50% stable and 50% Sol ETH BTC. And so yeah, as long as you're picking your ranges and it stays within there, then you should be fine, and you're racking up nice fees along the way. So that's what I've been doing with DeFi Tuna. Next, another one that I've been using is Loopscale. I've talked about them before. And the main reason, first what they do is they basically have a bunch of these different pools where you can go up to 5x leveraged as well in these. You can either leverage long Sol, you can leverage long JLP, you can leverage, where are we? I guess there's another one, which is the one that I use, which is leverage short JLP. Well, this is, sorry, shorting Sol with JLP. So in this case, you're basically borrowing Sol to buy JLP. And so obviously if the price of Sol is going down, JLP is likely going down as well, but not as much as the price of Sol. And so therefore you're profiting by shorting Sol in this example. So what I'm doing on Loopscale is I'm mainly using this pool, and I'm using this as a hedge for how I'm longing Sol in DeFi Tuna and Meteora and Hawkfi. And so let's go ahead and show you how this works. Yeah, pretty much all you'll need to do is, you'll put in how much JLP you want to add. You can go and choose your leverage. It'll show you what your health is. So generally I won't want to go any lower than about 4.5 here, a little bit lower actually. I want to keep my health at like 15 as much as possible to start at least. Obviously this can go down to 0 until you're liquidated. So this gives you 15% wiggle room on the price of JLP, or obviously if Sol goes up by 15% in this example, then well, since if the price of Sol went up by 15%, the price of JLP will probably go up 7 or 8%. So really you would need Sol to go up like 30% for you to get liquidated on the upside. And then on the downside, the price of Sol would have to, you should be safe on the downside because you're shorting Sol. So it's really only on the upside that you'd be at risk here with this 4.3 leverage. The one thing that you'll want to do is, depending on how long you want to keep this in play, is choose your duration, because this basically locks in your rate. So I've been choosing the 1 month. Because that's about how long I've been keeping these in here. And you can see, where are we? Well, yeah, you can't see actually. I don't know why they're not showing it. Okay. Not sure why they're not showing it, but basically, whatever the price, the borrow rate of Sol is, it's showing you this, what your APY is on the earning, and this is taking into account the borrow rate on Sol. And by you choosing a month here, you're basically locking in that rate on Sol for the month, is my understanding, which means, obviously the price of the JLP APY can change, but at least the borrow cost won't. And so that's why I like to lock it in for a month, so that way I have some leeway. And then what I'm doing basically is, as Sol has dumps, I'm selling this, taking profit, and then once Sol goes back up again, I'm basically rebuying back in to hedge against what I have open on DeFi Tuna and Hawkfi and Meteora. And then likewise on those ones, DeFi Tuna and Meteora and Hawkfi, as it goes up, I'm taking profits there as well. So I'm basically selling as the price goes down on Loopscale, and then buying as the price goes up on and selling on the price goes up on DeFi Tuna and Hawkfi and Meteora. So this is kind of be my main way of hedging. At the same time, Loopscale is also running their own airdrop campaign. They actually just announced that season 0 is over and they're starting season 1. So what that tells me is that probably there's still a few more months before they're going to launch a token. So there is time to still get involved here. As far as points go, they have a bunch of different ways that you can earn points. You can earn some free points here, and then usually they'll have some tasks below that are pretty easy to do that you can earn extra points. But then otherwise the main way of doing it is by just depositing and LPing in these pools. So that's what I'm using Loopscale for. Last but not least is kind of more of my stable approach. So what we just went over is how I'm earning nice yields both longing and shorting Sol, and then the final thing here is how I'm basically earning from stables. And so we're in Drift. Drift is, I believe, other than Jupiter, or maybe they are now, the largest perp dex on Solana. They've already had season 1 of their airdrop. Season 2 is what they're in the middle of. I think they're going to be over in the next couple of months. So you're not early, but you do have time to get engaged here if you want. Obviously, you can trade to earn points on Drift, but if you're not interested in doing that, you can still earn points also by depositing funds into these different kind of strategies that they've set out here, vaults. So they have a bunch of different vaults. I haven't looked too much into all of them, but the main one that I've been using is, where are we here? Let's see. This one. Look how much more massive this APY is than all the others. So this is neutralized JLP. Now this is being managed by Neutral Trade. So you can either enter into this vault here, or you can go to Neutral Trade, which on Neutral Trade they have all the vaults that they manage on Drift. But when you're depositing into these, you're depositing on Drift. Drift has a way that anyone can basically set up a vault on there and for users to deposit into. And so in Neutral's case, they've created those vaults on Drift. Drift is the one that you're depositing to, but you're using Neutral's vault. And in addition to Drift running the airdrop campaign, so is Neutral. So you can see up here, I'm starting to earn some points by depositing into these vaults. And so yeah, let's you can see they have some vaults. Fuel is the name of the points program for Drift. So if you want to just really accelerate how much points you're getting there, you can deposit into this pool. You're not going to be earning a upfront APY, but you're getting 7.5x fuel and 2x NT points. So if you're going for the points, this is a good option. They do have some stable pools here that have halfway decent APYs. But for me, I'm kind of degen, so I go for this neutralized JLP pool because it's paying an upfront 286% APY. I'm also earning MT points, and I'm also earning 1x fuel points as well. So if we go in here, basically what this pool is doing is so like I said, JLP is a combination of about 50% stables, and then the other 50% is made up of Sol, ETH, and BTC. And so basically what this pool is doing is you're depositing JLP, and then they're taking that and then they're shorting Sol, ETH, and BTC, in theory neutralizing your JLP to just be the stable. And so the value of what you've deposited in here is more or less stable, but you're earning from the APYs that JLP provides. So so far this has been skyrocketing like crazy, and the max drawdown has only been 8%, which is 8% on stables, yeah, not good, but 8% on something that's making 300% a year, I'll take that any day of the week, personally. Also, of course, you're farming the airdrop. So this is what I'm putting into, and what I've noticed is that when the price goes down, that's when basically the returns are the heaviest. So you can see here, price has been going down over the past week. That's why the returns have been higher. During this period, price was starting to go up, and that's why you had the lower returns, or the drawdown. And so what I've been doing is, as price goes up, I'm taking profits. As price goes down, I'm buying in. So you don't have to do that. This can be set and forget. And as you can see, over the longer period of time, you're likely going to be making money on this, while at the same time farming two apps, Drift and Neutral. But if you want to kind of try and make as much as you can from this, then you can do what I'm doing as well, which is sell when the price is high and buy more as the price goes lower. So that's what I'm doing here to farm these two applications and make upfront yield at the same time. And then the last one is this protocol called Vectis. And so here, Vectis hasn't announced if they're going to be running airdrop, but they do not have a token, so I assume that they will at some point. And then basically what they do is they have a bunch of different vaults also, where and all these vaults are just like neutral, where they have these vaults on drift. So you're earning fuel from depositing in here. Like you can see here, I put in about $100 like maybe a few weeks ago, and I've made 6,600 fuel thus far. And they're estimating that that'll be about a 26 APY for depositing, and this is on USDC. So, and yeah, the up and down is, maybe like I said, I put in $100. Some days it'll be 101, some days it'll be 99. So you're not really going to be generating upfront yield by using this strategy on Vectis, but you are getting the fuel points, which it's estimating that that's going to be worth about 26% return, which 26% on stables is, pretty good. And so if you're interested in Vectis, they have that, and then, they have other pools as well, if you're interested. But for me, I've just been focusing on this Drift Fuel Flow USDC pool. Yeah, and that is pretty much what I'm doing. So yeah, to summarize, I'm using Meteora and Hawkfi and DeFi Tuna to long Solana, BTC, and JLP. Then I'm using Loop Scale to hedge those longs by shorting with yield, with leverage. And then I'm also putting my stables to work using these different vaults on Drift while simultaneously farming Neutral and Vectis at the same time. So overall, it's been working quite well for me. And yeah, hopefully some of these strategies and protocols are news to you and helpful. And yeah, till next time, happy farming.